You talk about the backstory, right? And how Alamo's mother corrupted and broke his heart through betrayal. And I think based on that, the fact that Rue betrayed him, his trust after bringing her into his fold, I don't think there were any circumstances in which he would have let her live. It was always going to be the same end. It's the same with how he ended up dying. You know, he was betrayed by, his right arm man. And so in effect, he died even before the bullet of Ali hit him. You know, that betrayal is how I see you in hell, because that broke him. So I think he had such issues about betrayal and trust that I don't think he would really allow Rue to live under any circumstances. It was just a matter of time and when her usefulness expired. In the narrative of the show, the DEA were already looking at him. Yeah. So at some point, you can escape that bullet so many times, but they're dogged, and I think they may have caught him at some point. So, whether it was with Rue, whether it was with somebody else, whether it was with Laurie, they would have got to him at some, because he was just, through the use of fentanyl, he was killing a lot of people, and then he was trafficking all these women. And so they would have probably snagged him at some point.
Let's talk about your character, Nate. Nate's coming back. Is it true that you were nervous about playing Nate again?
They told me that I said that.
Yeah, but so you did not say that?
I mean, I might have said it.
If you did say it, hypothetically, why would you be nervous about bringing Nate back?
I would say I'm nervous anytime I step on a film set for the first sort of every day of making it. I'm always nervous.
That's probably a good sign, I would guess.
That's what they try to say, but it doesn't feel like a good sign. Yeah.
Cassie and all of Euphoria, it's a crazy season. She's really discovering herself this year, and it's going to be a wild one.
Spoilers ahead, all of them. Euphoria is officially over. Rue is dead. The show is not coming back for a season 4. And based on how this cast has responded to the finale, they are more than ready to move on. Let's get into everything. The finale breakdown, the creator's reasoning, what Alexa Dimi finally opened up about, and what Sam Levinson said about all the backlash this season got. The finale episode was titled In God We Trust, and it wrapped up every major storyline at once. Alamo outsmarted Laurie and the feds. Laurie ends up taking her own life rather than go to prison. In the process, Rue manages to get back everything Laurie had stolen from Alamo's safe. But Alamo figured out that Rue had been talking to the authorities. He gives her laced pills, she takes them, and her story ends not as an overdose the way everyone assumes, but as a murder. Alamo killed her. The way the scene is shot is genuinely affecting. We see Rue moving through moments in her life, with Fezco, with her mom, and finally, hugging her dad. That hug is the moment the scene lands. You understand her life is over. Ali finds her body. He calls her mom, and we never see or hear that reaction, which honestly might have been the right choice. Then we flash forward a few months to a world where everyone knows Rue is gone. Jules gets one final scene. She's in her apartment with her sugar daddy, painting. That's how her story ends. A lot of people wanted more for Jules, and honestly, so did I, but that quiet, slightly melancholy image felt intentional. As for Cassie and Maddie, the two of them had gotten themselves into serious debt with Alamo. Maddie ends up having to go to him to pay 20% of what the girls had earned, plus other things Cassie essentially talked her into. The worst part is that Maddie got into this mess trying to help Cassie in the first place. But Ali comes through in the end. He kills Alamo, which frees Maddie from the debt entirely. It's a dark, violent ending, but given where the season had gone, it felt earned. The finale also confirmed what had been obvious for a while. This is the last season, no season 4. Zendaya had already been saying it publicly, even when no one else from the production was confirming it. And the ending makes that decision feel undeniable. Rue is dead. Jacob Elordi's character Nate was killed the episode before the finale. Without Rue and without Nate, there's no version of this show that continues in any meaningful way. Sam Levinson spoke about Rue's death in the post-show segment on HBO and then expanded on it in a New York Times podcast appearance around the same time. His reasoning was straightforward. He wanted to tell an honest story about addiction, and the honest ending for someone like Rue is that they don't make it. He said he also wanted to tell the story for Angus Cloud and for people who weren't given a second chance. He got noticeably emotional talking about that. On the NYT podcast, he pushed back against critics who said this season felt disjointed, arguing that viewerships stayed strong even through the backlash, and that he believed if the season had dropped all at once rather than week by week, the response would have been different. He was also asked about Jules and Nate being sidelined this season and said the cast's outside schedules didn't affect how he wrote them, which is the kind of answer that sounds a little defensive, but is also probably true given how busy everyone in that cast has become. He was also asked specifically about the controversy around Sydney Sweeney's scenes this season. His answer was interesting. He said he had actually initially considered shooting around certain moments to avoid explicit nudity, but Sydney pushed back on that. Her argument was that she was playing an OnlyFans model, and pulling back would undercut the character. He agreed it was a fair point and said she was one of the most fearless and professional actors he's worked with. Whatever your feelings about how those scenes were written, this at least establishes that Sydney had full agency in how she was portrayed. Now about that cast response, or lack of one. When the series finale aired, Sydney Sweeney posted a photo dump and captioned it, "It's called acting." That's it. No long emotional tribute, no gratitude post, no reflection on what the show meant. And she wasn't alone. The rest of the cast didn't really post anything substantial either. No goodbye speeches, no photo compilations set to music. None of what you typically see when a show that ran for years comes to an end. For a lot of fans, it confirms something they'd already sensed. This cast is done with Euphoria, and they've been done for a while. The most substantive cast interview that came out around the finale was actually from Alexa Demi, who tends to stay out of the public eye despite being one of the most beloved actors on the show. She spoke to The Hollywood Reporter, and the piece dropped the day of the finale. She talked about how filming season 2 genuinely took a toll on her in ways she hadn't anticipated. The process took nearly 9 months with overnight shoots and emotionally heavy scenes, and she said she became so connected to Maddie that she stopped being able to fully separate herself from the character. She described it as realizing too late how much the role was affecting her mentally. She also revealed something about season 1 that was harder for her to hear. She said she felt pressured during that season to agree to nudity and intimate scenes because she was young and didn't fully understand that she could say no. Nobody told her directly that refusing would cost her the role. She said that explicitly, but she was scared enough that she didn't speak up. She said she realized later those scenes made her uncomfortable, eventually found her voice, and when she did speak up, the production team was respectful and supportive. That's the best possible outcome from a bad situation. But the fact that she felt she couldn't speak up in the first place during season 1 is worth sitting with. She was also asked about Barbie Ferreira, who played Kat and departed after season 2. Alexa and Barbie had gotten close over the years filming together, and when asked about the departure, Alexa said she was disappointed but that she respected the decision and thought it was a brave move. Whatever the specific circumstances were behind Barbie leaving, that's a gracious way to handle it. On the career question, a lot of fans have wondered for years why Alexa hasn't followed the same trajectory as Sydney Sweeney or Jacob Elordi, both of whom have become genuine movie stars in the years since Euphoria took off. Sam Levinson's take was that she's selective and turns down things that don't align with what she wants us to do. Her own framing is simpler. People assume she wants more fame without considering that she might genuinely prefer her career and her life exactly the way they are. That's a completely valid position and honestly an unusual one to hear from someone in that industry. One thing that was notably absent from the Sam Levinson NYT podcast interview was any mention of Labyrinth, the musician behind some of the most emotionally distinctive parts of the show's first 2 seasons, who was not involved in season 3. The absence of his music was one of the most consistent fan complaints this season. Maybe it was a legal or contractual thing that couldn't be discussed publicly. Maybe the podcast hosts just didn't ask. Either way, It was a gap that a lot of people noticed. So that's the full picture. Rue's story ended the way Sam Levinson always intended it to. Honestly, and without a redemption arc that the data on addiction doesn't really support. The show wrapped up its major storylines, Ali got the revenge moment, and then the credits rolled for the last time. A cast that became genuinely famous because of this show didn't post much when it ended, which tells you everything about where they are with it. Euphoria was chaotic, divisive, and exhausting in a way that kept people watching even when they were angry at it. That's a specific kind of cultural staying power that very few shows manage. Whether the finale gave you closure or left you frustrated, the show is over. And honestly, that feels right. Drop a comment. Did you feel like the finale gave Rue's story the ending it deserved? And are you satisfied with how they wrapped up everyone else?